He stood like a statue, a tomb guard in his navy blue uniform, every step a perfect echo of duty under the Arlington sun. But then a voice cut through the silence, sharp and mocking, waving a neon yellow microphone like a weapon. The crowd held their breath as the journalist pushed closer, his words dripping with scorn, daring the guard to break. Everyone expected the tomb guard to stay silent, to endure as always. But what no one saw coming, not the tourists, not the veteran watching with clenched fists, was that this guard, Nathan Hayes, wasn't just a symbol. He was a soldier who'd faced fire in forgotten wars. And the truth he was about to unleash would leave the crowd stunned and the journalists running for cover. Before we dive into this story, where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments. And if you believe that values like honor, courage, and sacrifice still matter, join us in keeping their legacy alive. It's a crisp morning, and the sun is just breaking through the trees at Arlington National Cemetery, Virginia. The air is quiet, heavy with reverence, as visitors walk softly across the hallowed grounds. Rows of white headstones stretch out like silent sentinels, each one marking a life given for freedom. At the heart of it all stands the tomb of the unknown soldier, a monument to the unnamed heroes who made the ultimate sacrifice. And there, pacing with precision, is Nathan Hayes, a tomb guard, his navy blue uniform crisp, his kepi hat low, his white-gloved hands gripping his rifle with unwavering discipline. Every step, every turn is a testament to duty, a living tribute to those who rest here. Nathan's boots click against the stone, a steady rhythm that echoes through the morning. His sunglasses hide eyes that have seen combat in the deserts of the Middle East, where he earned a Purple Heart. At 28, Nathan carries the weight of his service with quiet pride, his posture a silent promise to honor the fallen. Tourists watch from a respectful distance, their phones raised to capture the solemn ceremony. Families whisper to their kids about the meaning of this place, while veterans stand a little straighter, their own memories stirred by the sight. Among the crowd, one figure stands out. James Thornton, a 35-year-old British journalist, cuts through the visitors like a shark through water. His gray suit is sharp, his brown hair slicked back, but it's the garish neon yellow microphone in his hand that draws every eye. Emblazoned with his newspaper logo, it screams for attention, just like James himself. He's built a career on controversy, twisting words and spinning stories to grab headlines back in London. Today, he's here for a story, one he's already writing in his head, a takedown of what he calls America's outdated military traditions. He adjusts his tie, smirks at his reflection in his phone screen, and mutters to himself, "Perfect. Time to show the world what this circus is really about." James shoulders past a family trying to take a photo, ignoring their annoyed glances. "Excuse me, official press," he says, his British accent sharp and deliberate, as he plants himself closer to Nathan than anyone else dares. The crowd shifts uncomfortably. A group of school kids, here on a field trip, point at the bright microphone, whispering excitedly. An older man, John Ramsey, a 70-year-old Vietnam veteran, leans on his cane nearby, his weathered jacket adorned with service pins. His eyes narrow as he watches James, sensing trouble. James raises his microphone, his voice cutting through the reverent hush like a blade. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announces, turning to the crowd as if he's on a live broadcast, "what we have here is a relic of a bygone era, a soldier playing dress-up, marching back and forth for tourists while the world moves on." He gestures at Nathan, who remains motionless, eyes fixed forward. "This," he continues, "is the tomb god, a so-called symbol of sacrifice. But let's be honest, folks, it's just a performance, a waste of time and money when real issues go ignored." A murmur ripples through the crowd. A mother pulls her son closer, whispering for him to stay quiet. Jack Ramsey grips his cane tighter, his jaw clenching. James, sensing the tension, grins. That's how he works, pushing buttons until someone breaks, then spinning it into a story that'll rack up clicks. He steps closer to Nathan, violating the invisible barrier of respect around the tomb. "Tell me, soldier," he says, his voice dripping with mockery, "does it ever get old standing here like a statue while America spends millions on this pageantry?" He waves his neon microphone for emphasis, catching the sunlight and drawing more eyes. Nathan doesn't flinch. His training as a tomb guard, one of the most elite roles in the U.S. Army, demands absolute discipline. But inside, memories flicker. The chaos of a firefight in Iraq, the weight of a fallen comrade's gear, the reason he volunteered for this duty. He's not just guarding a monument, he's guarding a promise to those who never came home. The crowd watches, some filming, others shifting uncomfortably. A teenage girl whispers to her friend, "Why is he being so mean?" James circles Nathan like a vulture, his microphone glinting. "You know what this reminds me of," he says, turning to the crowd. "Those royal gods back in London, standing outside Buckingham Palace for tourists to gawk at. Same thing here, just with a different accent." He laughs, a sharp practice sound. "America loves its military myths, doesn't it? But let's talk reality. While this guy plays soldier for selfies, veterans are homeless, and the VA is a mess. Why not put that discipline to work fixing real problems?" Jack Ramsey steps forward, his voice low but firm. "Son, you're out of line," he says, his medals glinting on his jacket. "This place isn't for your games, it's for the ones who didn't make it back." The crowd murmurs in agreement, but James waves him off. "Oh, come on, old-timer," he says, his tone patronizing. "Nostalgia is sweet, but it doesn't change facts. This," he points at Nathan, "is a symbol of a country stuck in the past, pretending it's still the world's hero." The air grows tense. A father in the crowd mutters, "He doesn't speak for us." A group of students stop filming, their excitement replaced by unease. James, undeterred, steps even closer to Nathan, his microphone inches from the god's face. "Tell me, soldier," he says, his voice louder now, "does it bother you knowing you're just a prop in this grand American fantasy, a living museum piece for tourists to snap photos of?" He pauses, waiting for a reaction, but Nathan's discipline holds firm, his eyes unyielding behind his sunglasses. James smirks, turning to the crowd. "See? Nothing. Just a man in a fancy uniform trained to stand still while the world laughs." He's warming up now, his words sharper, more cutting. "Let's talk about what this really represents. America's military parading around like it still runs the show, while the rest of us, Britain, Europe, the world, have moved on. This tomb god nonsense, it's a distraction from a country that can't face its own decline." The crowd's unease turns to anger. A woman whispers to her husband, "He's disrespecting them all." Jack Ramsey's hands tremble on his cane, his voice rising. "You don't know what you're talking about, boy. I buried friends who are honored here. You don't get to spit on that." James laughs unfazed. "Oh, I'm not spitting, fur. I'm reporting. Real journalism exposes the truth behind the pomp and circumstance." He turns back to Nathan, his voice dropping to a taunting whisper. "Come on, soldier. Say something. Defend this charade. Or are you too busy playing statue?" Nathan's grip on his rifle tightens, the only sign he's even registering James's words. The journalist senses it, his eyes gleaming. He's close to breaking him, he thinks. Time to push harder. "You know what I've seen," James says, raising his voice for the crowd. "I've covered real stories, wars, crises, places where soldiers actually do something. Not like this." He gestures at Nathan's uniform. "This is what happens when a country can't let go of its glory days. You dress up your soldiers like action figures because you can't admit you're not number one anymore." A young man in the crowd, a college student wearing a veteran's cap, steps forward. "That's enough," he says, his voice shaking with anger. "You don't know what this man's been through." James spins toward him, his microphone flashing. "Oh, enlighten me, kid. What's he been through? Marching in circles? Polishing his buttons?" The crowd bristles, and Jack Ramsey mutters, "He's got no idea what sacrifice means." James, sensing he's losing the crowd, decides to escalate. He reaches into his pocket, pulling out his press badge, but it's just a prop for his real move. With a theatrical flourish, he steps closer to Nathan and reaches for the tomb guard badge on his chest, a small but sacred symbol of his duty. "Let's see what this is worth," he says, his voice dripping with contempt. He grabs the badge, yanking it free with a sharp tug, and holds it up to the crowd. This is what he's guarding, folks, a shiny piece of metal as useless as this whole ceremony. The crowd gasps. A child tugs at his mother's sleeve, asking, "Why'd he do that?" Jack Ramsey's face hardens, his cane tapping the ground. The young veteran starts forward, but he's too far to intervene. James waves the badge, grinning. "Come on, soldier," he taunts. "What's it gonna take to get a reaction? You gonna let me walk off with this, or is this all just a big act?" The air freezes. Time seems to stop as every eye locks on Nathan. His discipline, forged in combat and refined by the grueling training of a tomb guard, holds him steady. But then, with the precision of a man who's faced real threats, Nathan's hand moves. In one fluid motion, he catches James's wrist, his grip firm but controlled, stopping the journalist cold. The badge clatters to the ground and a hush falls over the crowd. Nathan's voice, low and steady, cuts through the silence. "You want the truth, Mr. Thornton. Let's talk facts." James tries to pull away, his smug grin faltering. "You can't. You're not supposed to," he stammers. But Nathan's grip is unyielding, professional, not an ounce of cruelty in it. "Since you're so interested in exposing things," Nathan says, his voice carrying the quiet authority of a man who's seen battlefields James can't imagine, "let's expose a few things about you." The crowd leans in, phones lowered, sensing something monumental. Jack Ramsey's eyes gleam with approval. Nathan continues, his voice clear and measured. "August 2023, you wrote a story about a Navy veteran, twisted his words to make him sound like a fraud. He lost his job, his family struggled, all because you needed a headline." James's face pales, his microphone dipping. "December 2023, Nathan goes on, you misquoted a Marine's widow, turned her grief into a political hit piece. She had to move after the harassment your story caused." The crowd murmurs, some pulling out their phones to search James' name. The young veteran nods, his voice sharp. "I read that Navy story. It was garbage." James tries to laugh it off, raising his microphone. "This is harassment. I'm press." But Nathan's voice cuts through, calm but relentless. "Press, you're a provocateur, Mr. Thornton. March 2024, you edited footage of an Army training exercise to suggest misconduct. 3 soldiers lost their careers before the truth came out. Your truth is whatever gets clicks." Jack Ramsey steps closer, his voice steady. "And let's not forget the story you buried, Thornton, the one about joint U.S.-British operations in Syria last year. Didn't fit your narrative about useless soldiers, did it?" The crowd's anger grows. A woman in the back calls out, "Is that true?" Another pulls up an article on her phone, her face hardening as she reads. James's bravado crumbles. He tries to raise his microphone again, its neon glow now looking garish, out of place. "You can't prove any of this," he says, but his voice cracks. Nathan's eyes, still hidden behind his sunglasses, seem to pierce right through him. "We don't need to prove it," Nathan says. "Your work speaks for itself. Every twisted quote, every manipulated story, every lie you've sold as journalism, it's all there for anyone who looks past your headlines." Nathan releases James's wrist with the same precision he used to grab it. He bends down, picks up the Tomb Guard badge, and reattaches it to his uniform, each movement deliberate. "This badge," he says, his voice carrying across the silent plaza, "is a promise to the men and women who gave everything. Men and women you've never honored, only exploited." The crowd is silent now, the weight of Nathan's words settling over them. James stumbles back, his microphone dangling uselessly. "You think this changes anything?" he mutters, trying to salvage his dignity. "I'll still be reporting tomorrow." Nathan's voice, steady as ever, stops him cold. "Reporting? No, Mr. Thornton. You'll be hiding behind a badge you've disgraced and a profession you've betrayed." The young veteran steps forward, his phone raised. "It's all recorded, Thornton. Every word. Maybe it's time someone reported on you." The crowd murmurs in agreement, their respect for Nathan palpable. James, his face drained of color, turns and pushes through the crowd, his neon microphone bobbing as he flees. His footsteps echo, each one carrying him further from the story he thought he'd write. Jack Ramsey watches him go, then turns to Nathan. He places a hand on the guard's shoulder, his voice thick with emotion. "Thank you, son, for everything you do." Nathan nods, a silent acknowledgement before resuming his post. His steps, precise as ever, echo across the plaza, a reminder of the duty he carries. The crowd begins to disperse, but something has changed. Parents speak to their kids in hushed tones about sacrifice and honor. Tourists take photos with new reverence, keeping their distance. The school kids, no longer giggling, watch Nathan with wide eyes, understanding something deeper about this place. As the sun climbs higher, casting long shadows across Arlington, Nathan Hayes continues his watch. His shadow stretches across the stone, unwavering like the truth he defended today. This isn't just a ceremony, listeners. It's a promise kept every day by men and women like Nathan, who stand guard not for fame, but for those who can't, not for headlines, but for honor. So, what do you think of Nathan's stand? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let us know how this story hit you. If it moved you, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell for more stories of courage and truth. They're the stories that remind us what it means to stand for something bigger than ourselves. Until next time, keep honoring the sacrifices that keep us free. We'll see you in the next one.